Hey Becky, can I tell you something?
Yeah, sure, Kevin.
I wanted to tell you this for a long time. I've had a crush on you for a long time now, and I wanted to know if you would like to go out with me on a date.
Um, uh, that's so sweet, Kevin, but I just don't see you that way. I think of you more like a friend, more like a brother. You're such a great guy that, I just wouldn't want to ruin our friendship. But don't you worry. You'll find a woman someday that you'll make very, very happy, and she will be so lucky to have you.
Okay.
All right. Well, today I wanted to talk about why women friendzone guys. This is a topic that's been debated a lot in different men's communities for a long, long time. It's definitely been a hot button topic, and there are a lot of theories that guys have, put out for reasons why this happens. I think there's a lot of nuance to this topic from my experience, but also some common themes as well that is closer to the truth. From my experience, there are four main reasons why women generally will friend zone a guy. Now, the biggest reason and the least surprising is the sheer fact they just aren't physically and sexually attracted to them. In other words, that women just don't find them attractive. They'll look at a guy and there's nothing about them that turns that woman on. You could have a certain physical feature as well that either turns them off or they just don't find appealing. One example would be, let's just say you're a taller woman that just doesn't like shorter men. And, you could be an attractive shorter guy, but the girl just can't get past your height and she views you as a friend because of that. It could also be that you're balding and she just isn't sexually attracted to bald guys. She's a girl who really values hair and she's really attracted to guys with, full thick head of hair. Other times it can be that you're just overweight and she views you as the lovable, teddy bear type. Or this is probably the most common one, to be honest. You could be a guy who just has like a baby face and she may be just not sexually attracted to baby faces. She goes for more masculine facial features like, a strong jawline, a strong chin, strong brow. Honestly, from my experience, women typically don't friend zone guys who have very chiseled features. I know that sounds very common sense, especially in this space, but I really think it rings true when you have a strong lower third, or when you have just more stronger features like a sharp jawline, high cheekbones, strong chin. Sometimes facial hair can help, but these more masculine, facial features in general, I've noticed that women typically don't friend zone those guys. They typically tend to friend zone, guys with baby faces, kind of lack that masculine features, and then they tend to friend zone, shorter men, guys that are losing their hair, guys that are overweight, things like that. That's from my experience. I've tended to notice that. And it's interesting, I kind of experienced that myself as well. When I had a double chin and like a really bloated face, when from being so overweight, I had virtually zero dating life. And the women that did like me tended to view me just as a friend during that period of time. But then when I lost the weight and my lower third started to show through, I can say that, hardly any women friend zoned me. And these are all mostly subconscious, and women may not even be aware of why she views a guy as a friend, from first glance. Essentially women don't friend zone guys the vast majority of the time that they're sexually attracted to. There are some outliers, but the vast majority of the time, a girl will friend zone a guy that they typically will enjoy spending time with, but can't see themselves ever being romantically or sexually interested in. I think the guys who tend to get friend zoned the most are, guys that are typically below average looking, and maybe even slightly above average looking if that guy isn't, the girl's type. But typically guys who are above average looking or good looking, or, guys who just have more stronger masculine features, they don't really get put in that strict friend zone nearly as much. And then for guys that they initially find attractive, that relationship can go in a lot more directions. Whereas a guy they find just very meh or plain looking, or even slightly off-putting physically, typically goes right into friendzoneville. And a lot of the time, a guy may have a really good personality, so the girl will enjoy hanging around him, whether it be for laughs or the guy knows a lot of people, so she keeps him around, but she has zero plans of ever taking it further sexually with him. Now, the second case is a girl that you grew up with, where you spent a lot of time around. This can be a girl that grew up in your neighborhood. It could be a girl you went to high school with, a girl you went to college with. A lot of the times that's the case. Like as an example, in our neighborhood, we played games like Manhunt, Capture the Flag. We rode our bikes around the block. God, I miss those times. I feel like the younger kids these days don't do that. And there was a girl down the street who I looked at more of like a sister, to be honest. I mean, she was around my age. She was fairly attractive. I'd say she was cute, but it's just we did everything together, like growing up, and I just didn't see her that way. I didn't see her in a sexual way. And I think a lot of, girls have guys, like that in their life that they just grew up with. They know everything about them. They know their whole life story, and they just can't view them as like they just don't view them in a romantic way. It's not because of their looks so much, but it's just the fact that they know too much, so to say. And it's interesting. A girl may think of you that way because she grew up with you. Maybe she dated one of your friends. You saw her throw up at a party. You know everything about her. Like I said, there are a few girls from my childhood that are attractive, but I just could never date them, for these types of reasons. It's almost like they're ingrained in my head as girls that I would just, kick it with and chill. And I don't have any sexual feelings towards them. It's kind of like if you're hanging out with like a girl in your neighborhood and you've heard them fart, or like they've thrown up in front of you, or, something like that. Like, sometimes there's just certain things where there's certain girls where you can't get those images out of your head, and you're just going to always kind of view them as like, one of the homies, so to say. And I think it's good to have some female friends in your life, they can help you meet other women and, give you somewhat decent dating advice. I think a lot of the times in these different spaces, like a lot of guys, don't like having female friends, and I don't have a ton of female friends, but I have some, and overall they've, it's provided me, good value in my life and good company from time to time. The third case is where there's a lot of nuance. So there will be girls that will find you attractive initially. They may think that you're cute or, just pretty attractive in general. But after engaging with you, the conversation just doesn't flow naturally, and you guys just don't really hit it off. This is something that's also somewhat overlooked in this space. Like, initial attraction can be there, but it can kind of fade if the girl, finds your personality either completely off-putting, or you guys just don't have a lot of common interests. Like, that definitely plays a role sometimes. I'm someone who has a lot of like introverted type hobbies. Like, I like content creation, I like hiking, I love poker. And if a girl is really attracted to you, they will really like that. But if a girl just finds you like, cute, or like, somewhat attractive, that's where personality and compatibility can come into play. So those same hobbies, maybe a girl that, finds you really attractive may be like, oh yeah, those are really cool hobbies. But if a girl is just, kind of just finds you cute, she may look at those hobbies and be like, that's weird. You know what I mean? So there's kind of like a meter of how much personality and compatibility can really help. Like I said, if she finds you attractive, but you don't like doing the same stuff she does, there are girls that I initially hit it off with from a looks perspective, but they just really like to party, they like to go shopping, and they're just not interesting, so there wasn't any compatibility there. And occasionally when there's no compatibility, a girl can start to view you as more of a friend over time. And sometimes it'll be a friends with benefits because, maybe one girl is really sexually attracted to you, but you both know that there's no hope for a relationship going forward. There'll also be some girls that were initially attracted to you, but you never showed them that you were attracted to them back. And they may start to view you as more of a friend, especially if you start talking to them about other girls and, giving them advice on other guys. That sometimes happens to guys in general. I think the next case, which is pretty common, is, the girlfriends of your close friends. They tend to become your friend for that period of time and will help you meet their friends, and they'll give you dating advice. And, I'm someone who would never pursue a woman that one of my close friends have dated. So in a way, you're in the friend zone with those girls for obvious reasons. But one thing I'll say is, I think if you want to avoid the friend zone as a guy, you should try to not ask for dating advice from a girl you're attracted to. Because when you ask for dating advice from a girl, the girl giving the advice will look at you as just a friend most of the time. You're asking her for the advice. And, you could ask a woman that you're not really attracted to for dating advice, or a friend's girlfriend, but you want to really avoid asking dating advice from a woman you're trying to pursue. Because when you ask those questions to them, they're going to look at you as a friend because of that. The last point I wanted to make is that you being in the friend zone can change over time in some cases. So let's just say, you don't see a girl that you used to be friends with for a significant amount of time. Maybe it's been a couple of years, and maybe you weren't that attractive back then. So she saw you as a friend, and then you go through like a significant glow up. Some of these girls will look at you in a much different way, especially if you just say you went from like a baby face in high school to more of like a chiseled face later on in college. Or if you went from she may have known you as the overweight guy to you got in really good shape and you look completely different. Or let's just say they met you when you were balding, but you got a really good hair transplant. You kind of fixed your hair, so to say. Sometimes that can be enough for them to flip from viewing you as purely a friend to being really attracted to you. The other advice I would give to guys is to not end up in the friend zone is to try and look the best you possibly can. But also be upfront with a girl. If you have interest in a girl, you want to ideally show her interest kind of from right off the bat, from the get-go, and just at least show her that you're attracted to her. It doesn't have to be in a super direct, upfront way, but you want to kind of make it known that you don't really want to just be friends with them. You want to kind of let them know that, you're interested. Most of the time, women, like I said, friend zone guys because they're just not physically and sexually attracted to them. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Feel free to comment down below any experiences you have of being in the friend zone. And feel free to subscribe. Until next time, take care.